All You Need to Know, the Bloomberg Quint podcast that prepares you for the day's business.
Brought to you by LIC.
Good morning, and thanks for listening in. Happy Friday to you. This is the All You Need to Know podcast on Bloomberg Quint, and I'm Alex Matthew. Here's everything that you need to know at the end of the week. In the top news, the government is likely to predict that India's economy will expand 11% in the new financial year, betting that the vaccine rollout will contain the pandemic, while low interest rates and measures to lure investment will spur business activity. That's a Bloomberg report that quoted people with knowledge of the matter. The return to growth will follow an estimated 7.7% contraction in GDP in the current financial year. The projection formed the basis of drawing up budget proposals, which will be unveiled on Monday after the presentation of the economic survey later today. Now, the budget for the new year will be presented at a time when the country is still combating the coronavirus. But India is still much better off than many other countries. It reported 11,666 new cases in the 24 hours to 8 a.m. yesterday. That took the active cases below 1.74 lakh. Meanwhile, the new coronavirus variant identified in South Africa has reached the US with 2 cases diagnosed in South Carolina. And a new vaccine from Novavax was effective in big trials in both the UK and South Africa, but the effectiveness appeared to be reduced in South Africa, where the mutation is prevalent. In important corporate news, Amazon.com NV Investment Holdings has told the Delhi High Court yesterday that Future Retail is bound by the order of the emergency arbitrator, which had paused Reliance Retail's deal with Future Group. Amazon approached the court after the market regulator granted conditional approval to Future Group's scheme of arrangement and sale of its assets to the retail arm of Reliance Industries on the 20th of this month. In other news, Reliance Jio Infocomm added the most active subscribers among its peers in November, clocking the best number in the last 6 months, despite concerns stemming from the ongoing farmers' protest. Jio added 5.4 million regular paying users over the previous month in November, according to the latest data released by the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India. Bharti Airtel, meanwhile, added 3.9 million, while Vodafone Idea lost 1.9 million. In news in the primary market, investors piled into the initial public offering of Stavcraft Limited on the last day. The issue was subscribed 18.03 times as of 5 p.m. yesterday, according to exchange data. In international news, applications for U.S. state unemployment benefits fell last week, signaling that job cuts may be easing after rising in December and early January. Initial jobless claims in regular state programs fell by 67,000 to 8.47 lakh in the week ended the 23rd of January, according to the latest Labour Department data. On an unadjusted basis, initial jobless claims dropped to 8.74 lakh. That served to bolster sentiment in the US equity market. The Dow and the S&P 500 ended higher by 1%, while the Nasdaq ended about 0.5% higher. In the Asia-Pacific region, though, 2 of the 3 early risers were trading lower last I checked. And with that, it's over to Hormuz Fatakia for the trade setup for the day in India. Morning, Hormuz. How are we looking at the end of the week?
Good morning to you, Alex, and to those tuning in as well. Markets are down for 5 straight days now, and if the Nifty ends with losses today, it will be the first such instance since February last year, when the index has declined on all 5 days of the week. The index is also set for its second straight weekly loss, and this will be the first such instance since May of last year that the markets have declined for back-to-back weeks. Early ticks on the SGX Nifty, though, are indicating a rebound because the index is trading 1% higher, close to the mark of 14,000. Well, if Spoilt for Choice had an example, I'll give you one. I have had to choose from at least 30 plus companies that have reported results after market hours on Thursday to bring you a select few. But before I get to that, I'll tell you about the 8 nifty companies that are reporting results today. We have 3 pharma companies, Cipla, Dr. Reddy's and Sun Pharma, along with Indian Oil Corporation, IndusInd Bank, Tata Motors, Tech Mahindra and UPL that will be reporting their quarterly results today. For the broader market names, do log on to BloombergQuint.com to read up the entire list in our All You Need to Know copy. Now on to earnings reported after market hours on Thursday. Pidilite said that its consumer and bazaar segment registered volume and value growth in excess of 20% during the quarter. Demand momentum remained strong in rural areas, and the B2B segment too saw healthy volume growth due to resurgence in industrial activity. The company's overseas subsidiaries have seen double-digit constant currency revenue growth. Interglobe Aviation reported a net loss of over 600 crore rupees during the quarter. CEO Ronojoy Datta said that he is bullish on the demand coming from smaller cities. Datta also said that increasing carrying capacity to 100% and higher utilization is the key for the airline to return to profitability. Cash burn has come down to $150 million per day from $250 million per day. Datta has also expressed optimism for a strong first quarter of FY22. Lupin returned to profitability during the quarter after reporting a net loss during the same period last year. The company's North America revenue grew 5% from last year and contributed to nearly 40% of the overall turnover. The company's India business grew 5.5% and contributed to over 30% of the overall sales. Growth markets saw a decline of 6%, while the rest of the world business grew nearly 30% year-on-year. TVS Motors' quarterly earnings were ahead of Bloomberg consensus estimates, during which the two-wheeler maker reported its highest ever revenue and profit. It generated free cash flow of over 1,600 crore rupees during the quarter, which was utilized to pay debt. Bharat Electronics reported a 25% growth in its net profit for the quarter. EBITDA was up nearly 30%, while margins expanded 400 basis points from last year. The company's order book at the end of the quarter stood at 54,791 crore rupees. Mahindra & Mahindra Financial reported a net loss of 223 crores during the quarter as bad loans saw a surge. Gross stage 3 assets for the non-bank lender stood at nearly 10% from 7% in the previous quarter, while net stage 3 assets stood at 6.57% from 4.7% last quarter. The management holds provisions worth 1,180 crore rupees pertaining to COVID-19. In some commentary from management's post-results, Cummins India has not provided a revenue guidance for FY21 as it believes that market conditions continue to remain uncertain and visibility for end market recovery is still somewhat limited. Similar sort of words also coming in from United Breweries, who said that while industry outlook continues to develop positively, it remains volatile depending on the future trajectory of the pandemic. Aside of earnings, V-Mart Retail has launched a QIP issue on Thursday in order to raise funds. The floor price of 2,432 rupees per share is a 0.3% premium to Thursday's closing price. The company may offer a discount of not more than 5% on the floor price at its discretion. Sundaram Asset Management Company, a 100% subsidiary of Sundaram Finance, has announced the purchase of the asset management business of Principal Asset Management. Sundaram AMC will acquire the schemes managed by Principal Asset Management and acquire 100% of the share capital of Principal Asset Management, Principal Trustee Company, and Principal Retirement Advisors. And that's all from me this week. We will be back on Budget Day to bring you all the latest, not only from the budget speech, but also with its impact on the markets. With that, I wish you a happier weekend, and it's back to you, Alex.
Thanks, Hormuz, and thank you for listening in. This is Alex Matthews signing off. Have a great day and an even better weekend.
I hope you enjoyed listening to All You Need to Know. Did you know that you could listen to the show on the IVM Podcast app? On the IVM Podcast app, along with this, we have a number of other shows which you think you'll enjoy. Listen to Cyrus Says with Cyrus Brocha as the host. Listen to Paisa Vaisa with Anupam Gupta. The Scene and the Unseen with Amit Verma, or Shunya One hosted by Shiladitya Mukhopadhyay and myself. Check out the IVM Podcast app to get more talk content that you will enjoy.
Brought to you by LIC.